No,
All right,
for real.
We did 2 pre-shows, but we're ready now.
Episode 55.
Practice makes something.
Something. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Naomi.
I'm Liz.
And we're the Run Galley girls.
And welcome to episode 55 of our podcast, which is incredible.
Yes.
And what do you say? Should we go streaking?
Oh my God, we're going streaking.
We're going streaking. So this episode is going to be about run streaking.
Yes.
And should you do it? Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Is it worth it? Are there any benefits to a run streak? Is it just another, is it fun and super great? Or is it just another manifestation of a type A personality? Is it just more disordered thinking? We don't know.
Right.
I mean, we do have our own thoughts on it.
That's
what we're going to talk about.
And our own experiences. And so, so we're going streaking right now. We've just started.
Because of Garmin badges.
Yep.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I was actually in the camp of never again. We did a run streak in 2022.
I did one in 2020 through 2021, like for 3 months. Beginning of it was end of 2020.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I don't know if that's when yours was.
No, that's when mine was.
Okay.
Mine was too. I did 45 days or something like that. I quit well before yours, before you did. But yeah, I've done that one. So 2020, the end of 2020 into 2021. And I was really in the never again camp.
Yeah, same. And, I mean, I feel like for some people it's a great motivator if you don't have any other motivation to get out there.
I think for my brain, it becomes like a sick obsession.
Same.
So I think like that's where it's like a manifestation of mental illness for me. But let's talk about why we're doing it.
Yeah.
So Garmin in September launched a 30-minute activity streak, record a 30-minute activity
or September 30th. And I think we didn't see it because we were marathon training. So.
Well, and they were like buried in the available badges. They're not like, they didn't pop up and say, hey, you should try this. They were just back there in the available badges, like all the new sleep badges and everything.
Right.
So 30 minutes of activity, recorded activity on your watch every day for 30 consecutive days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. That's actually awesome.
That's super healthy.
You can do a walk, you could do a run,
you can do a Peloton
ride,
strength.
You can do a strength training, just a 30-minute activity.
Do a swim.
Yeah.
So much.
And I mean, I get a little obsessive over, Garmin has this badge every month that's like 20-minute activities.
Mm-hmm.
And I get obsessive because I want to get it done in the shortest amount of time as possible. So like sometimes I'll go for an 18-minute walk and let my watch run out the clock.
Or like we'll go for a run and we'll stop it at 20 and start another 20-minute run.
Right, because that's how obsessive I get with these stupid badges. But I love them too. At the same time, I'm like super motivated. So then the other ones that they launched was 1 mile of running a day for 30 consecutive days, and then 1 mile of walking a day for 30 consecutive days. Here's my sick brain. My sick brain said, I can get all 3 of these at once. I'm going to do 1 mile of walking, which is about a 30-minute activity, or could be stretched out to, or 1 mile of running. And on my running days, I'll just add a mile walk because I already have the 30-minute run. And on my running days, I'll do a 30-minute walk. I was like, I can do this. So that's my sick brain was like, you can get this.
That's where it started. I think a lot of people start them. There's like a Thanksgiving to New Year's challenge people do.
There's Memorial Day to 4th of July.
Yep. And some people, like at January 1st, which is when we started this one, it's like sometimes it's just the motivation to get out the door beginning of the year or get to the gym or whatever.
Yeah,
New Year's
and
resolutions.
I think 2 years ago I tried to do an activity streak, but what happens to me is like when I'm trying to like push and I have all these activities, I end up getting sick. I end up getting worn down and just exhausted and either sick or injured or something. And so these are some of the downsides.
Yeah, there's definitely it's not a pod without a pod burp. There's definitely, a lot of risk to it. And the other one we've done too, which was I think in 2022, was the step challenge. I knew that one was really challenging for me to get the 10,000 a day for 30 days. Or 60 days.
It's going to be easy now.
60 days.
It's going to be easy now because of all of these miles.
True, but I didn't do it at the same time that I was doing the run streak. Because when I was running streaking, I was some days I wasn't getting 10 because I was doing a mile.
Just a mile.
Just to get my mile.
See, and that's the thing. So when you're embarking on a run streak, you do have some inherent risks. So let's talk about those. Mm-hmm. You have a risk of overuse injuries. We know that running every day is like unnecessary for fitness and can actually be detrimental. Yes. So you've got to be careful. I think what happens when people start a run streak, and we were talking about this like when we talked about how we were going to do this and talk about it on the podcast, is you're feeling good. It's New Year's or whenever I'm starting this run streak, I'm going to run 5 miles. The next day, I'm going to run 5 miles. The next day, I'm going to run 5 miles. The next day, I'm going to run 5 miles. Even though you're allowed to run 1, you go into it forgetting that 1 is enough, and you start to get a little bit like, you're going to do more. And I remember our friend Amanda was doing a run streak and was not just like limiting herself to the 1 mile on some days. And she ended up with a stress fracture in her foot that took forever to heal because it became a non-union fracture. And that's the other thing people stress fracture is bad, but if you don't take care of it and treat it well, it will essentially separate more and take even longer to heal.
Yeah, and you can obviously soft tissue and tendon issues. So looking back, I was looking at my streak I ended up stopping at 100 days because I had to set a parameter at some point because otherwise I was getting really burnt out.
You'd still be run streaking today.
Right. But
had you not figured out an end.
Something would have broke. So at that point, at day 93 on my, I looked at my Instagram post, I was like, my adductor's really angry right now. And what's funny is 9 or 10 months later, because that was March 2021.
Yeah.
January 2022, I was getting treatment for that adductor. Yeah. So it kind of, gave me it started an injury that that I couldn't shake. I had to go get, PT and dry needling for.
Yeah. So, well, that was all the stroller running.
It was because I was doing a ton of stroller running with with that 100-day streak.
So when you're doing a run streak, if you're not careful, you're going to have insufficient recovery time. One of the tips that our friend Ken, who's been doing a run streak for forever, does is
he's at day 3,000.
He runs at midnight and 1 a.m. so that
it counts for both days.
It counts for 2 days.
Yeah, if you leave at 11:59, or for him, he's doing 5 miles, so he leaves at 11.
So he'll go to a 10-mile run
at 11:10.
From 11 p.m. until he finishes at 1 a.m.
And that counts for both days.
He's got both days, and then he can recover until essentially 48 hours of recovery.
The other thing that crazy. He does and that we're doing is our pace is, we're taking our pace way down. And Ken runs a sub-3 marathon, and so he's running 6-something pace for his marathon, and he's running 12s for his when he leaves at 11 p.m. he's literally doing 12-minute miles.
And we're that's what we've brought our mile down to. But tomorrow we're gonna go on a longer run, and we both had we did a 5K this weekend that was definitely my legs just couldn't go anymore. So, and it was 9 minutes. That's where I am right now.
Capping you at.
So, I mean, tomorrow's run may all be in the 12s and 13s. That's just where it's going to be.
Yeah.
So, the other piece that Naomi was talking about is mental burnout. The mental pressure of maintaining the habit. That's actually what I struggle with more than the physical burnout. Is I just get mentally, and I think it's almost like a protection mechanism in my brain, because it's this is dangerously teetering on unhealthy.
Right.
This is becoming obsessive. Stop it before it gets worse.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I stopped at 40 some odd days, because I was no, there's no reason to do this. I actually watched Taylor Swift's documentary, Miss Americana, and she was I can't. She's I can't look at pictures of myself because I would just stop eating. She's I wouldn't have told you when I was that thin that I had an eating disorder,
right?
But I just wasn't eating. She's and I'm yeah. I'm glad that she said that,
Yeah. And definitely we both have that problem, that obsessive, borderline. And so I agree, I can push through the physical, and I've done that, but I've pushed through the physical pain, but to what end? And then usually it is for me at that time, you can see the drop off where I went from, I was doing a lot more 5, 6, even 10-mile runs at the beginning of my run streak and I was still doing 1 or 2s to keep it going. But you can see where in March, where also stress from work had, climbed up to.
Right.
I was just doing the 1 mile, and it was very much an obligation and a chore, and very much I remember those nights where I'd put Julian to bed. I would go down on the treadmill just to get that 1 mile done. And like Scott would be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Right,
I was like, I don't know. And I was like, I have to keep it going because I had that obsession at that time.
Right. And that's the other thing too. Like, I'm not one for New Year's resolutions. Like,
me neither.
But I'm actually at the beginning of every month, I get excited about earning a new badge. And so this could also lead to imbalances in your imbalances in your fitness routine because you're focused on getting this run in. So maybe you're swapping out the 10 minutes that you would have done strength training. And so I did think about that. I'm like, you know what? Like, luckily we both have dogs. So the obligation, the way I'm looking at it, is 2 miles a day. That's the obligation. And even if that means like both of them happen with the dog and one of them is a 15-minute mile where I like shuffled my feet and one of them is a 17-minute mile where I walked. And then strength training, it has to be on priority.
Yeah, it does.
Like just because of our ages.
Yep.
Because like this, I already feel imbalances because of this pregnancy.
Yeah,
so,
and for me, these injuries, I have to continue to battle.
Yeah, and I thought like, oh, this 30-minute activity doesn't have to be a run or a walk.
Right.
It could be the strength training. It could be the biking because it really, like, if you can get out of like the crazy, like when you have a dog, the idea of doing 1 mile before work and 1 mile after work is actually not that too big of an ask. If your dog has to poop anyway.
If your dog likes to walk. I don't know. My dog likes to go out for 0.1 miles. But so I will have to do these on my own.
Yeah,
but
your puppy likes to go out for a walk.
My 3.5-year-old puppy.
I mean, because I'm telling you, if you were like, come on, Julie, and you have to do your 1 mile walk, you'd be like, okay.
I know. Although now that it's dark and cold, not so much. But that's the other, like, so that's where like this run streak in the winter can be really challenging. But actually, something that it is really easy to want to just like, stay inside, curl back in bed, whatever. And so that's kind of nice when you are doing a challenge where you're forced to go out in the weather and, go out and walk, run, whatever it is, in like the snow and in every condition and in the cold and in the dark. But
yeah, so
I mean,
you're also, and we touched on this, you're also going to like number 5 on our like little list is you could potentially aggravate existing injuries that you have. So you've got to make sure that you're taking care of those things and ditch the run streak if you start to get something that is getting worse as the days go on, because you can always start over. This Garmin badge is a in perpetuity badge, so it doesn't have to be these 30 days or it doesn't have to be the first time you set out to do it. Like starting over, there's nothing wrong with starting over.
I do like a run streak in the off season because in the winter or whenever, because when we're marathon training, I really do need my rest days, my full rest days in between. And so if we're going to do a run streak or a 30-minute a day activity, I really like that it's like not when we're also trying to pile on the miles.
Yeah.
And I think that's a caution too, is if you're doing a run streak and you're also training for something bigger distance wise, it's probably going to backfire on you because you're not going to allow your body to recover.
You have to have and probably why it's going to backfire is like when you're training for something, you actually have some pretty good fitness. So you're going to be tempted to do a little bit more and not just do a 14-minute mile or 12-minute mile easy 1 mile run. You're gonna be like, well, I can do 3, and that's when you get into danger. Like, you start to just pile on those additional miles.
Yeah.
And to what benefit? Like, I mean, yes, my most successful like marathon training cycle, I did high mileage. But it wasn't that much more successful than the one before it, where I didn't do high mileage. Like, I mean, I was able to do more races, like volume of races, but I didn't race those races.
Right.
It's just that the volume prepared me for the volume of the season.
Right. It's interesting, like right now looking back, because this has been one of my lower mileage years outside of pregnancy. 2023 was my lowest. It was 1,000 miles though. And I look back at 2016 and 17, even when I did have some really good fitness, ran some PRs at the time, those were PRs. Yeah. And I had actually lower, like I was running 60-mile months some of those at that time too. And so it's kind of nice to see that like you can have 60-mile months and still have decent fitness. And maybe you won't have the peak fitness you had at 160 miles, but
I've got to find my 2016 stats because I think I had like 700 miles total.
Yeah.
And I broke 4 hours in the marathon for the first time.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
you know.
Exactly. 2016 and 17, I both those years I think 2016 I had, my PR was like a 404, but my half was like a 147 or something. Like I had gotten really fast on very low mileage at the, comparatively.
Guess it was 2014. That's
for you, it would have been, yeah.
But yeah.
Comparatively for like how then, a couple years later, yes, I was faster and running a lot, like twice to 3 times as much.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you can do it with kind of moderate mileage.
And then, we also have the reduced immune system as you start to build up. Again, 1 mile a day, if you're smart, is not going to do that. But if you're doing these run streaks in between a training plan where you're also doing,
speed work,
long
runs,
all of that, it's just going to be a depressant for the immune system.
And you're not focusing on sleep if you're focusing on your run streak.
I've got to go get this run in before work or whatever. And we'll talk about the benefits too. We've got some great benefits coming up because there are some. And then we've touched on the impact on your social and personal life. Like, people start to think that you're crazy when you're like, oh, I'm going to be late because I got to do my mile.
Or you don't go to bed like I was doing. I was, instead of going to bed and prioritizing my sleep, I was putting my son to bed and going on the treadmill. And my husband definitely thought I was crazy.
And then you may experience a plateau in performance. Like, that's the other thing. Like Naomi said, she got this injury that then has kind of like derailed her, like,
for a while.
And the adductor led to the foot. So because everything's like connected. And
at the time, like at the beginning of the streak, I actually was posting these crazy fast miles.
Yeah.
Even with the stroller, like I must have been running straight when I was running with the stroller because I had all these like 10 miles with 9:30 pace.
A lot of straight running
with the stroller, and then 30
or long intervals, like just taking short walk
like
breaks
3-4 minutes
times.
And then I would do like 30-30s without the stroller. But I look back, and at the beginning, like December, January, the first 30 days, I had all these crazy fast runs, and then at the end it starts to slow down. I got these injuries. I plateaued. Like I definitely, it was 2021. We didn't have races on the calendar. I couldn't get a sitter because nobody was vaccinated, but we were like, so there was like my motivation, but I was, wouldn't have been able to race had there been races because I would have, like, my fitness would have just been crap.
Well, and like, we want to warn people against the negatives of run streaking, especially if you happen to be a crazy person like we are.
Which, if you're a runner, like, there's a really good chance that you are.
Oh, best meme ever on Instagram yesterday. And after I sent it to you, a whole bunch of people had posted it in their stories.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, now that you're an adult and there's no, hey, type A people, now that you're an adult and there's no validation from grades, how's your marathon training going?
Yeah, and you're like,
I was like, oh, feel seen.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That hurts.
Oh.
That resonates.
So with that though, we are excited to be streaking, and we hope that you can find a comfortable, happy way to streak as well. I did get a little crazy thought in my head. I wonder if I could streak at least the 1 mile walk throughout my entire pregnancy.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I can do the walk.
Mm-hmm. And it's a good
Moderately
goal.
Confident that I could do the 30-minute activity. Not sure I can do a run. Not sure I could do all 3, if that makes sense. Like,
sure.
I mean, there's going to be a time where I may just have to be swapping out all of my miles for walking miles, which is fine.
Right.
It's totally fine.
And I
will run for 15 seconds during that 1 mile and record it as a run.
But the good thing, there's pool running.
Yes.
And there's also, like, for the 30-minute, I really am looking forward to, because it's a different cycle than what I did before, I'm really looking forward to going and riding my Peloton for 30 minutes or doing strength for 30 minutes. Like, I'm so excited about that component of this streak versus the run mile. The run mile is just going to be part of it. It's not going to be the goal.
Well, and so we did the 5K on Monday.
New Year's Day, yeah.
And like Naomi had run Sunday, I ran Saturday. And, we thought, Tuesday, I was like, well, let's just run a mile and and then, you know, go for a walk. And then she's like, but I want to kind of stay on track. But then we realized it is still staying on track, right?
Right.
Like going for so we did both the 1 mile run, 1 mile walk and the 30-minute activity yesterday morning. So we're going to be ready to run tomorrow. We actually ran a mile before recording this podcast.
Yeah.
A nice 12-minute mile. Even that felt a little like, I'm totally down for slowing down that 1 mile, like, and making it a 15-minute mile if, you know, that's what needs to happen.
Just to keep it going.
Just to be able to safely check the boxes. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that's going to be, maybe that will be my obsession, is how to do this in a safe way.
Right.
Safe for my body, safe for my mental health.
Yeah.
Because that is really the piece that I'm the most worried about, is safe for my mental health.
Right. Yeah, your mental health, same. And so one more negative before you go to the positives. So this was a study from the Gothenburg University. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It's probably German. In this study, they took 200 or 200 plus injury-free recreational runners who are going to run the Gothenburg Half Marathon, ages 18 to 55. Even with just 9 miles a week, which if you're streaking, you're probably getting 9 miles a week, 46% of them ended up with some sort of injury on 9 miles a week.
Well, and that would back up Jeff's findings of how he developed Run Walk. He was taking runners at his store, Phidippides, which I have the shirt on for, which, yay. We love Jeff. We love Phidippides. We love everything Galloway. He was taking runners and training them, and there was an expectation that these recreational runners would develop running injuries. And then he took this group that wasn't ready for a straight running plan, and he was doing Run Walk with them. And these people didn't get the standard traditional running injuries with the Run Walk program. And he was like, wait a second, what in the world's going on? Like, this is amazing and magical and crazy. So
yeah, so those 9 miles a week were probably straight runners in that study. It's a 2021 study. I'll have to
I apologize to the camera people because I gotta put my do not disturb on.
Don't get any beeps and alerts. So yeah, so the chances are you're gonna run probably at least 9 miles a week. And so yeah, your likelihood of getting injured during this streak is pretty.
Some people might say that because we Run Walk, our 1 mile doesn't count, but I call bullshit on it.
So yeah, that's a little contentious thing with is it the International whatever of Run Streak? Yeah. It's I'll go look up the real name, but they apparently you have to run a mile straight because of what you just said before, where you could like go out for 15 minutes total, and in it you run 15 seconds of the entire time and say, oh, I ran walk. I used a 7.5 walk, 15-second run.
But, you know, that's the thing. I think probably the lowest I'm going to go interval-wise would be 15-second run. Probably. I might go up to a 45-second walk if I, like, felt like I needed it.
Right.
But the only reason I won't do 10-second and 30 is that the watch doesn't beep the full beeps if you do 10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
It just goes beep. Like, and I
10 and 30 is fine if that's what you want. Like, and if
right, but I think like it just doesn't like, and it purely has to do with my equipment.
Right, because like 10 and 30 is a great interval if that's what you want to try.
Jeff loves 11 and 22.
Yeah,
which is the same as 15-30, which is the same
as 30-60.
30-60. Yeah. Like, you know, so it's funny.
Yeah,
so 11 and 22. So while we talked about all the negatives, and we want you to be aware of them, like, and if you embark on a run streak, make it a rule to not run, like make it a rule that you have to do. I would say at least 3 of the days have to be a 1 mile run, and that'll be protective. Or and then maybe even make a rule that at least 2 of those have to be, actually all of your 1 mile runs should be easy.
Yes, I was gonna say they should all be
the issue
2 minutes slower than
sometimes what I'll do is I'll be like, it's just 1 mile, and I'll go like balls out, and I'll get more injured from that than an easy 6 miler because I'm not warm either, right? So there's a risk of like running all out fast or running faster without warming up too, especially as you're getting older. Like, I gotta tell you,
warm-up's essential.
I did a 6 mile run with my sister-in-law Sabila. I did 2 miles beforehand, then went with her, and then finished up. I was thinking about it as I was finishing up, and I was like running kind of fast on the way back down Ridge Heights, which is a nice, like, gentle downhill. And I was like, I should really warm up 4 miles before this 5K. Like, I was thinking about that. Like, man, if I could do 15-minute mile, like, do a nice 15-minute mile warm up for like 2 or 3 miles before the 5K, I'd probably do better, but I'm not
if
going
your
to.
pelvis would have let you. And like,
That's
but outside of
thing.
pregnancy, I definitely have to warm
and
up
we
long.
have.
And for 5Ks, I warm up
We would start at your house and like
run
over to the race.
Yeah, we usually do at least 2 miles.
And like,
warm up.
you know, my pelvis is literally just a loose joint that after a while, like, it's just friction. So
yeah, and you already have hypermobility, and then on top of it, you got the relaxin. So you're just gonna have to like be careful. That's all it is. It's just.
So here's the benefits of streaking.
Yay.
It is going to help you build a habit, because that is the hardest part of. That's the hardest part of running, but that's the benefit of having a written training plan. That's the benefit of doing a program like Couch to 5K, which I both love it because it gets people off the couch and doing 5Ks, which I love, 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 love. What I don't love is the intervals that they choose to use and the fact that they're trying to eliminate walking.
Right.
Because
that doesn't need to be your goal, and it shouldn't be your goal.
So my sister-in-law is doing Couch to 5K, and she's doing these 3 runs a week, and they start with a 5-mile walk, and then they do a 1-minute run, 1-minute walk. And then they do a 3-minute run and 3-minute walk, and then a 1-minute run, 1-minute walk, and then a 5-mile walk. And I'm like, all right. But I was like, well, why don't we just try 15:30s for the whole run segment from the 1 minute all the way, like, until the 5-minute walk? And she was like, I'm going to try, but I'm so nervous. Like, that seems hard. And she was like, that was easier. I'm like, I know. And she was like, and I was faster. I was like, I know. It's amazing.
Yeah, it does build consistency. I did feel like that was one of the things I really liked about the streak I did when I did it before, was like, I then had that, like, you know, it made it easier somehow because you had to go out and do your mile or get up and do it. And so then it kind of makes it easier after, when you're like, oh, well, I can get up every day, versus when I get into a habit anyway of sleeping in or taking days off. Like, you know, after the marathon, I was taking lots of, like, I really was just wanting to take extra rest days. And then I got to a point of like, well, I don't want to run at all because I've just not run for 2 weeks already. So why even bother?
The more you run, the more you want to run. The less you run, the less you want to run. It's 100% true.
It is.
So, but I think that this habit building can be so good. And I think that was why it was so important that we got up yesterday and did something together. And then we'll get up tomorrow and we'll see how we're feeling, like, both dealing with some little, like, twinges. We don't want them to explode, so we're gonna be really conservative. You know, Naomi's pushed off, like, racing until the end of April, which is gonna be amazing. She's gonna do a 10-miler, which is gonna be awesome. Right? Hopefully I don't go into labor before then, because I want to, like, come cheer for you.
Aww.
There's a 5K, I think, that day too. Maybe I should sign up for that. I'll waddle it.
Come waddle the 5K, yeah.
Waddle it at 38 weeks, 37 weeks pregnant, something like that.
Are you going to be 39? It's like Julian's birthday weekend. So 38
I'll
then,
be 38.
because I was 39 when I had him. But yeah, like, that's the consistency of building the habits. When you're getting up early every day, whatever it is that you're doing, like, that's the habit. Getting up, having an accountability buddy to go meet, like, building that habit is a super positive benefit.
And this can improve, like, while we talked about it can, like, if done incorrectly, it can lower your fitness benefit. Like, it can reduce fitness. It can also improve fitness and endurance if this is something that, you know, that is done smartly.
Exactly.
Right? Like, because adding volume does improve fitness.
Yeah.
When it's
done correctly.
When it's done correctly.
So if you're really making sure that those are most of your running is easy, at least 80% of this running is easy. So that means, like, every morning that you get up to do these little, whether it's 1 mile or 3 miles, those are all easy miles. And then, you know, sprinkled in, you have a little bit of speed or whatever. But as long as the majority of it's easy, it will improve your fitness over time.
Yeah. There are some like we talked about how it can make you crazy and all the negatives of the mental health, but there are some mental health benefits too, to releasing endorphins, especially if you're getting that 1 mile in before work, which is going to be my goal is to get it in first rather than save it for the end of the day, because it does kind of loom over me if I
Plus, it puts off like when you can go to bed.
Yeah,
you're like, I've literally been there.
It looms over me in the negative. Now, one of the other benefits about just doing 1 mile and just doing it easy is you don't get sweaty in the winter.
Yeah.
So like you literally can be like, I don't know if you shower before work or before you go to bed or whatever. I usually shower at night, but on these run streak days, I can get up. I can even put on the clothes I'm going to wear to work, or just like put on something, go get my 1 mile in, come back and just get dressed for work and go. Like I don't have to worry about like taking a shower. Like I ran with my hair down today in a hat. Like it's
same. And we're on the pod or on the YouTube, you can see our hair looks fine. Yeah, you can. So, I do like that. Yeah, you can just like roll into work with whatever you're wearing, and it does give me like such good. It helps me be so grounded for the day when I've done some activity. When I was over winter break, I was at my parents' house and I was working, and my mom was helping with the kids. And each morning I got up, with the exception of the morning we went into New York, but the other mornings I got up and I ran out for like 30 minutes, like 25 or 30 minutes.
But you did such a good job of like, one of your 30-minute runs wasn't even 3 miles.
Nope.
Like it was like 2.4 or something. Yeah. And one of them was 3. And like,
it was just whatever
variability, variability is so like, that's how to do it.
Exactly.
Instead of being like, I have to get 3 miles in 30 minutes. Like basically letting go of all the crazy in your brain.
Letting go of pace, especially, letting go of pace for a run streak is the number one thing, is like no pace constraints with your run streak. And so, but I then would feel so good the rest of the day having had that activity outside.
And then, so number 4 on this, goal achievement. So setting a target for 30 days or 100 days or whatever. And my suggestion would be set your target at the beginning and don't let yourself continue it. Set your target for 30 days. Then say, doesn't matter, I'm going to take 1 day off. And if I want to do a 100-day run streak, I'm going to start over. Because I think once you start streaking, it can be very hard to find an end to that streak.
Right.
If you don't set it at the beginning.
Yeah, you have to set a parameter. Otherwise, then you'll make yourself crazy or burn out.
Well, you're Naomi looking back at 93 days and going, I should probably stop this soon.
Right. And I gave myself then, at that point, I was like, or at some point I had decided it would be 100 days, because I knew, once I got past like wherever you dropped off for 45, 50, I was like, I felt good still at 50 or 60 days. And so then, but at a certain point I had to stop. And so I said, okay, 100.
Your baby's kicking right now.
Oh, yay. She loves it. So at 100 days I stopped, and like I took the next day I had a break. And then the day after that, I went back to running. It wasn't like I, lost my motivation altogether, but I just took a reset, and that was really helpful.
This is going to help with discipline and willpower. Now, again, that's slippery slope.
Right.
Some of us are so disciplined and have so much willpower to be continuous. So while this is a benefit, it can also be a negative. Like, we are really like so cautious about recommending this to people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm nervous about doing it. I'm nervous about the negative effects on my mental health. I really am.
Right.
I'm hoping to just keep it nice and positive. I really just want these Garmin badges. I want them so bad. I was explaining that to like my coworker, Victoria. I was like, it is so dumb, but I want these digital pictures on my phone. And she's like, what? I was like, they're badges. I want to get them.
It's really silly. But like that discipline, that willpower, sticking to it can, it can help you kind of in other areas too. I know, again, that same thing. When I run more, I feel like I make better choices, and not run more, but just like when I have a consistent habit of physical movement. So joyful movement, whether it's running or something else, I feel like then I'm better about just kind of making the right choices. I'm getting more protein throughout my day, because I'm like, I need the protein for recovery. I need it to build my muscles, and versus.
I find that it makes me more active. It makes me more active in general, because like, I go out for a run, which increases like my endorphins and everything, which then gives me a little bit more energy, which then it makes me want to go do stuff, not just lay on the couch. But like conversely, it also like gives me permission to lay on the couch sometimes, which sometimes I also need.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good. So,
but you don't feel like you're just being like lazy by just laying on the couch because you're like, well, I did get my 30 minutes
exactly.
today.
And I think that it's nice too. Like, I know for me, like I do try to get my 10,000 steps. Like that is something that like I know I feel better when I get 10,000 steps on most days. And I know that running or going for a walk early in the morning and loading those steps is mentally best for me. Like I like to have 5,000 steps by noon every day. And if I don't have it at noon, I'll go for a walk at lunch so that I can like, I just know that I can get 5,000 in the end of the day, or at least 3. My goal on my watch is like actually 8,000 because I'm like, all right,
again, like
that's a less obsessive number. And I'm still shooting for 10, but I've at least like checked the box on my watch by getting to 8. Now it sucks because sometimes I'll get like 15 days and then I'll have a day with like 7,000 steps, and I'm trying not to be obsessive and I'm just letting it go. Like eventually I will hit that 60 days or whatever of hitting your goal because there's a badge. But I'm not going to be obsessively tracking it.
And as long as you're not going to be disappointed, and that's what I was saying about the streak too. If you have to drop the streak at some point, or for me too, like when we have to stop the streak, we just need to not be disappointed about it and not feel like we've let ourselves
start
down.
over. Just take some recovery and start over. Like because maybe you need to take a day of mental recovery or 2 days of mental recovery. Maybe you need to take a week of physical recovery. And with these running injuries and twinges and everything, most of the time 3 days is enough to recover. But when you're streaking, like you don't get the 3 days. Like that's the thing. Sometimes you need that, 72 hours that you just can't get during a streak. And that's where something's got to give. You're either going to live injured for the rest of the 30 days or you take the 3 days, you start over, and then you don't have a painful streak.
Right.
So, and then, there's social and community aspect. I'm sure we're not the only people who are out there streaking right now.
So post about it on your Instagram, your social media, like post about it, hashtag it with it, and find other people in the community to streak with if you are.
Because I decided I'm not putting, like I have the Sparkle tracker, and actually I've been like going back and forth. Should I put it? Should I not? Because I don't want the social pressure in case I have to drop it.
Right. It is hard to then feel like you've committed and you've told everyone you're doing something. But I don't know. I kind of liked that I kept track on, like when I went back to look at my Instagram, and in the bottom of my run post it said what day it was, so that was helpful to go back and see run streak day 23, run streak day 72, whatever, and kind of see what was happening in my life at that point. And see, the reason why I was running at night on the treadmill was because Julian wasn't sleeping through the night, so I couldn't get up in the morning to do my runs.
Oh my gosh.
So I was only able to do if I was doing 1 mile at night, and then the other miles would be like with him in the stroller when he was going on, like dropping him at daycare. So it's, if you're squeezing it in, I mean, the good thing is a 30-minute a day, like your doctor is probably telling you to get 150 minutes a week, right? Like that's generally
of that's walking, right?
And walking, exactly. That's the 30-minute a day. That's 5 days of that. It's just adding 2 more days to your so that's a good like baseline, and it's a good habit to get into without it being the stress and pressure of like a run mile.
Yeah. So, and then while this can also decrease your running performance, it could also improve your running performance. So,
like you said, more can be
better. More can also be worse.
Yeah.
So, but
proceed with caution,
it's gonna be
basically.
fun. It's gonna be fun, And then there's a bunch of other Garmin badges that we're
chasing.
Could always be chasing. The Garmin badges can be such a little motivator, which is really fun. I looked online today, so we both have the Phoenix 6S Sapphire Pro. I think that's what it is. And it's a fantastic watch. And the 7 has been out for a while. And I thought that the 8 would be coming out sometime between December and February.
Yeah.
It looks like it's probably going to be June for the first iteration of the 8. But we're like I know. We're like such Garmin people.
I just got a new band because I'm broke.
Oh, yay.
I mean, just to replace the,
They were on sale, too.
Not when Scott ordered it for Christmas. Now they are.
They're on sale right now.
Thanks, Garmin.
like, we just love it. And we are Garmin, League of Garmin ambassadors. Yes. I don't know what that means. I don't think we get anything, but we got a Facebook group.
There's a Facebook group. I think there is a race, the Garmin half marathon that we're supposed in Kansas or somewhere. Yeah, maybe one day we'll check off our states.
Yeah. So it's funny. I was in some women's running community group. I saw a post. I hadn't seen one in a while. I saw a post on Facebook. And she was like, I have my Garmin. I love it, but it doesn't look nice, you know, with my work clothes. And I actually disagree. I think that they
my
look really
Phoenix
nice.
Does, but maybe it depends on which one you have.
She has the new Phoenix.
Oh.
And I was like, okay.
Well,
they make this Vivo something style that is really
that
pretty.
one's so pretty.
And I was like, maybe I need multiple Garmins
for different.
Maybe I need like a Garmin to wear all day that like still tracks my activity, like when I want to take a walk and stuff, and my steps, and then like put this one on at night for my sleep tracking. I don't know how I would do it, but I was like, ooh.
I know that one doesn't do like multi-sport, like if you're doing triathlon, but it doesn't matter if you're just doing,
right. I'm
tracking,
like, it could just be my like pretty watch, but they're so pretty. And then I was looking, the bands are on sale, and they have like a really nice like rose gold and black like nylon band that I was like, but it's $130. I was like, what?
No.
But it's really pretty, and it would look pretty with this watch. So I don't know. It's crazy. I love gear. I wish I didn't love gear and stuff.
Stuff is so, it is hard. We love stuff.
But I've been saving my Amazon reward points so that I can get the new Garmin when it launches.
Same, like you told me about that, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. That's what I'll save mine for. So I can definitely wait till June. Like I said, mine's good for a while.
I know. And we got these in June. We got these around your birthday.
Yeah,
2 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. So so I don't know. The badges are really a good little motivator, and whatever keeps you motivated is what you should do. Like, so if it's not earning a run streak, then that's awesome because streaks,
you're probably healthier than we are. If you're not incentivized by a digital badge on your watch, you're probably in a better mental health place. I mean, like, just the fact that I was like, I wonder if I could keep this up through the rest of my pregnancy. I could just see myself, like, the day, like, if I go into spontaneous labor, be like, we can go to the hospital in a minute. I'm gonna do run walk with my contractions, where I like walk through the contraction, or like run stop. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just a crazy person. It's fine.
We'll see.
Totally fine. But I am actually committed this year to these 4-hour strength badges. I keep letting them go because I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, it's a wrong day. Oh, and I'm like, nope. Peloton has plenty of 10-minute strengths. I don't need to do 2. I can do 1.
And you can be careful and not do the ones that like involve, lower body if you're trying to protect yourself for a run the next morning.
Right,
I was thinking that too. Like, pick the right ones. There's plenty of variety in Peloton.
I did beginner arms last night. My arms felt pumped afterwards.
Good.
But I have no soreness today. It was great. I'm like, yes, I may do that one again. It was great.
Yeah, I'm excited to do some arms.
That's the other thing. Like, I don't need, while I can do advanced, I don't need to.
Yeah.
I don't need to do any hard. I just need to do something. Like, done is better than perfect. Yeah. Something that I can build, that I can do consistently is better than do it once and then be sore for a week. Like, like
that's the hard part
was talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, about the hard part with strength is you can end up like sore for days.
And David got injured because he was like, I am all or nothing, football brain activate.
Because he got his new gym set. Oh, I love that I found that you can see your time now, if you go to gym and fitness equipment. Because before I didn't know where you could see your total time on strength, because I was only seeing it under the badge, which I could find, okay, how much do I need now? But if you click into your activities in the gym and fitness, gym and fitness equipment, you can see how far you are. And I agree. Like, I told everyone at work yesterday, my goal for 2024 is like, I want to look like Terry Crews. I want to be able to pick people up. I want to have so much muscle.
I can already make my boobs dance.
There we go. I just want to be like.
I showed him when we were on vacation. I was like flexing my pecs.
He's
pecs. Like, "Who are you, Terry Crews?" I'm like, "Yes,
that's awesome.
I am."
That's right. That's my goal for 2024. I'm gonna get like ripped. Like, instead of worrying about waking I want waking because it's muscle. So that's my goal. So yeah, I'm gonna get I'm gonna do all the gym and fitness equipment.
I mean, that was kind of my goal when my pregnancy started, was to finish pregnancy stronger than I started, because like I'm gonna get some aerobic benefit just from carrying the extra weight and the blood volume and all of that, and like the increased cardiac output just from having the extra blood volume. So I don't need to worry so much about that type of like my endurance fitness. But like if I can build muscle and strength, that's going to be protective,
right?
Later on, especially like posterior kinetic chain, like my back, my glutes, my hamstrings, like all of that. Because pregnancy pulls you forward, it will like kind of tighten you and pull you back. So
and it's definitely like there's a natural attrition in pregnancy. I was just reading Airby Atkins, that's her Instagram, I forget her real name, but she's, you know, an elite athlete, and she's hoping to run a sub 2 hour half marathon at 35 weeks, and she doesn't know if she can do it at this point, and she's an elite, like, you know, so running obviously like in the 120s probably normally, or 115s
like
normally.
it's hard. That's hard.
But yeah, so that normal attrition that's going to happen with your fitness, so it's just a matter of like kind of trying to keep.
And I've mentioned it before, for me it's like my heart won't let me. Like my heart rate is like, nope, we are not going higher, even though I have a naturally high heart rate. Like it is being like, nope, I'm not pumping faster. So I actually wonder if possibly my top end of my heart rate will adjust after pregnancy, if it will go back or if it will stay, and this will be my new like kind of zones. I mean, I don't know.
It'll be interesting. It'll probably go back, but it'll be interesting. Yeah.
So, one other thing. So I saw Stacy Sims talking about, and I'm gonna have to find the research, talking about how zone 2 might not be as beneficial for women as it is for men.
Okay, we better go. That's gonna be next week. We're gonna have to go research that.
Yeah. So basically, she was saying that women have to learn to clear lactate. Like, so it's more important for us to do some high intensity, more like HIIT, some high intensity to like really work on that lactate shuttling, because otherwise you'll get stuck in the slow. Which, I mean, I see that benefit, and like it's funny because, you know, when we talk about like the zone 2 volume, we're not saying only zone 2. We're saying 80% zone 2 and 20%. We do think you should run hard and run harder than you might. And like the run walk intervals really like
give you that naturally.
Because they give you a little bit of that lactate shuttling in zone 2 heart rate.
Yes.
Like that's the cool thing about it, because you get to recover, so you're averaging in that zone 2, but
you're bouncing between.
You're kind of coming up, so
zone 1 and 4.
Right. Yeah. So I can see why that's how it's been so beneficial for us.
Yes.
But I could also see how if people aren't using run walk in that way, then that could
you get stagnated. Like if you're always doing run walk in a kind of a slow shuffle.
Yeah.
And that's great for your run streak days. We'll just slow shuffle it like we did this morning, and probably my heart was like 100, but we do need to.
Mine was.
At least I'll need to start to get some of those higher intensities in, especially like, you know, when I get into actual training later this spring for the races. Yeah.
Okay,
now we're gonna go look at our heart
my
rates.
heart rate, I was 134, which is in my gray.
And that was your average. And my average was 119, and it was like all gray except for 2 minutes.
Oh, I was all gray the whole time.
Well, but mine have reset.
Oh yeah.
Mine have gotten messed up, but
yeah. I can't. I've got to figure out how I did it to like make it to where it wouldn't reset.
Yes, because my watch keeps going back to the new high heart rate found, and like anyway, instead of the ones that David gave me off my lactate.
Yeah. So basically, to the middle of your blue is your zone 1, and then your zone 2 would be to the middle of your green.
So it was all gray today.
Yeah.
If I fix it. Yeah, 119.
I mean,
all gray.
that's how you know, before we knew about lactate threshold heart rate, that's how I used to train. Like, to the middle of my blue was my zone 1. To the middle of my green was my zone 2.
Mm-hmm.
To the rest of my green, to the beginning of my to the first 2 numbers of my orange was my zone 3. Zone 4 was my orange. Into, I think, it must have been mid green to mid orange was 3, and then mid orange to mid red was 4, and then 5 was deep in red because I could push deep into red.
Yeah.
So that must be about where it was. Anyway. Garmin, heart rate zones, it's weird.
Yeah. We'll have to do another
and like
episode
using
about that
lactate threshold heart rate, I'm not even sure that's like appropriate. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go dig into this research too.
But I'm excited to like see like, you know, to read a little bit more and listen to Stacy Sims talk a little bit more about this and like kind of put it into perspective for us. I know, like looking back at my previous training, slow, easy miles only ever benefited me as long as they were truly in my slow, easy zone. And I was also doing work at different times. So that's like, you know, that just is what it is.
Yeah.
You got to do a little bit of work.
Yes, you do.
Oh my gosh. The baby is like jumping funny. Like she's like pushing on my bladder funny. It's very weird. Like I just like feel it. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Aww. It's so fun to feel her kick.
Yeah.
It's like the craziest.
It's awesome.
She was like kicking like crazy during Taylor Swift last night. I was like,
Aww.
oh, are you a Swiftie? We watched the concert. We paid $19.89 to watch the concert. So I had it for like 30 more hours. That's fun. But it was cute. It was cute. Like, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was probably a lot better in the movie theaters, but
I don't know. I mean, I like Taylor Swift, but I'm not like a crazy Swiftie.
Yeah,
so
same. But it was even cool after watching like the Miss Americana documentary.
That was good.
We were like,
a couple years ago.
Let's watch this concert. You know, we're just trying not to watch the same boring stuff.
Right. Even Lila was like, I don't get what all the hype is about. And she like likes Taylor Swift, but like she's not crazy obsessed.
It's pretty like the concert is pretty good. I was actually thinking it might be fun to like have, you know, Lila and Layla over and like do like a Swift party and watch the concert.
You don't want to do it on the treadmill and see how
I was
the Eras
thinking about
challenge.
So I was thinking about it. She does not do a lot of dancing. So this whole Taylor Swift, like I ran on the treadmill thing.
Ran and walked.
Because
a lot of the songs she would be doing, like, you know, walk
There's
pace.
Been speculation how many
miles she'd possibly do in 3 hours.
Like, I'm thinking it was probably like 4 miles an hour.
So the speculation I've read is 16 miles total over 3+ hours because because someone who went through and actually dissected what like each song's BPM. And so a lot of them are walking. So those are the 4 mile. But then there are a few songs where it would be actual running. Right. But there's people out there trying to do the challenge on the treadmill.
I mean, I would definitely be down for it once I pop this baby out and get healthy. But I think I'd want to do it outside.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
A Taylor Swift run.
Yeah.
Maybe for our next marathon training.
Peloton tread or something. So
maybe for our next marathon training cycle, we'll do a Swiftie run. Maybe we should just come up with like a 30-minute Swiftie run.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we could do a few different a 30-minute, an hour, and that'd be fun.
Super fun. All right. Well, and speaking of treadmill workouts, we have a highlight in our stories, Ryan Galloway Girls on Instagram that we'll continue to add to. I love to come up with little treadmill workouts because I love to play on the treadmill. I love to play with my buttons. Sometimes I'll do like longer little intervals at slower paces. Sometimes I'll do really fast intervals where I'm like, oh, I know I'll be running for 30 seconds. So I'll push the walk button at 22 seconds because I know it takes time for it to slow down. So I got lots of little tips like that because I love to play on the treadmill.
Gamify it. So throw those into the stories so you can find some workouts to keep you motivated.
We have a treadmill workout. I know that we'll be hitting the pool. I was even thinking like with our pool running, we should like do some intervals in the pool and like do like little pushes to one side and then like 2 little easies and then a push. And, you know, just start playing. Plus, you know, we haven't gotten any of the time to swim badges.
I know. I have to start swimming too.
Yeah. I mean, there's all these badges we could go get. So, well, Happy New Year. And let's get excited because we're going to be hitting 100 episodes soon.
My goodness. And we're going streaking.
Yeah, we're streaking. So join us if you want to streak or don't if you're smarter than we are.
Yeah. We'll see how long this goes.
All right. Have a great one.
Happy running.
Okay,
Bye.
Happy running. Okay, and how do I turn this off now?
Bye.
Bye.